All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Adam, back at you again for another walk and talk here at the park at the end of my street. And once again, I'm just going to go off the cuff, get myself comfortable here, and just chat at you guys for a bit. And I do have a topic that I thought of while I was out and about walking through the park today. I think I'm going to start mixing it up. I might start picking a different park, but for now, I am doing this park because I can sit at my desk and I can work throughout the day, and then at the appointed hour, I can just get up and walk out the door and come down here. And by the time I get home, I'm 5 into 7 miles. By the time I get home, I'm not completely wiped out, but I'm definitely not feeling like doing much after a 7-mile walk. That's what I'm calling it. It's a cross between a hike and a walk. I don't know where it becomes a hike and it stops being a walk, or vice versa, because it is more in the dirt than on pavement, but everything's flat. I don't know, there's a lot of people out and about. It's like 83 degrees. I might start wearing shorts. I got a couple of little bugs flying around. They definitely like to hang out when you're all sweaty. But it's a little bit breezy here. Thank God I got this new microphone. That thing's been working out great. The standard DJI Mic 2 wireless YouTube vlogger mic. That's the one everybody uses. And not too expensive. Definitely fixed the problem I was having with any amount of airflow going over the microphone on the phone. This thing handles it great. With the dead cat cover that's made just for that mic. I didn't know it came with one. So I bought a pack of 2. So I've got 3 of these things. So if I ended up losing one, dropping one, whatever, I'll still have 2 more to, I'll always be able to ride my bike in the wind or be out in a windy day and get clear audio. So what is the topic for today? It's something I've been talking about a lot on this channel, and this won't be the first or the last time that I bring up this topic. It's something I think a lot of us are going through these days. I'm trying to figure out just the way that the sun hits here, it's kind of difficult I'm aware of the lighting on my face, and I know that it really doesn't matter. It's YouTube, who cares? But I also don't like the sun in my eyes, in my face too, so it's like, what do I do here? How do I position myself? Here we go. Maybe, I don't know, be comfortable and have good lighting and be able to sit here for a while. I think I'm there for now. This thing here is messing with me. The selfie stick thing. All right, here we go. So this topic has been on my mind for a long time because I'm feeling it. A lot of people are feeling it. I've had this conversation with a lot of people in real life. I've had this conversation with a lot of you in my virtual life online. I've heard people talk about it. People are doing videos about it. All of us are feeling this like we live in some sort of a time warp, where somehow the clocks are moving a lot faster than they ever have in the past. And it just seems like a day goes by in the same amount of time that a few hours used to take. Yet when you measure it, when I go on a bike ride, the amount of time it takes me to ride 10 to 20 miles is roughly the same as it's ever been. If my speedometer says I'm going 10 miles an hour, I go 10 miles in an hour. The distance, I cover that in an hour. It's the same 10 miles it's been my whole life. You know, at point A to B, someplace, now here I'm in Houston, so it's not like I can go on a 10-mile ride between 2 points that I've been traveling between since I was 15 years old. But I know 10 miles is 10 miles. And the distance between point A and B takes about the same amount of time as it's always taken. Same thing with going on a drive. But I also feel like when I was in my 20s, if I talk about it in terms of my career, when I was in my 20s, our computers were a lot more primitive than they are now. And I could show up to my 9-to-5 graphic design job, and between the hours of 8 a.m. and noon, I could accomplish more in those 4 hours than I feel like I can accomplish in a week nowadays. Sometimes. Most of the time. 2 4-hour blocks in my 20s working on primitive computers. Computers that were so slow that when you'd hit save on a 150 megabyte Photoshop file, you could go grab a drink, go drop a deuce in the bathroom. You could go grab food, come back to your computer, and it might not be finished saving the file. Now a 200 megabyte Photoshop file saves like that. It's nothing. The computers were way more primitive. Printing a proof, a physical proof of something that you're putting on a print press, would take forever back then. It takes no time now. Lots of things. The internet is so much faster. The internet existed back then, but you couldn't watch a video, let alone YouTube or anything. To have the capability to do a digital video like I'm doing right now, put it up on a platform where you could watch it on the internet, was unheard of. And it would have been, shit, you'd need $50,000, $60,000 just to have the equipment to attempt to do it with. Now you just need a phone. It doesn't make any sense, but yet time is going by so fast. And I watched a video the other day, that's why this is on my mind. And there was somebody, some new, I don't know if he's new or not, new to me, YouTuber, whose videos started showing up in my feed. And I subscribed to him because he's pretty funny, but he made a point in a couple of the videos that I watched. And he was talking about this very topic because he's feeling the same way. That I feel like it was just yesterday that I was sitting on this bench talking to all of you, and that was a week ago. And I swear it feels like 1 or 2 days ago in my perception of time. All of a sudden, I'm sitting on this bench again talking to you guys, and I'm like, how the fuck did that even happen? It's already been a week, and there were all these things I wanted to accomplish this week, and I didn't. To say I did nothing would not be accurate. But did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish this week? Not even close. Not even close. I'm behind all the time. And that to-do list just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every week. And there's not enough time. Perception of time, everything's whacked. In my personal life right now, there are a few reasons why time is messed up. Part of it is because of what I've been through in the last few years with getting thrown in prison for almost 2 years for a fucking Twitter post has screwed my head quite badly. aside from that. The time change. Having to switch the clocks, spring forward, fall back, all that bullshit, that dumb ass shit that we do every year, twice a year. Nobody wants to do this. I have never met a person in my entire life that wants to keep switching these clocks back and forth. Yet we keep doing it. The politicians keep saying they're going to, change it, but they don't. They keep saying they're going to arrest the billionaire pedophiles that rape kids on private islands. They're not. They keep saying they're going to do something good for the people. They're not. They're in it for themselves. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. But I want to say that the time change this year hasn't affected me as badly as it has in some years in the past. Each one has a different effect. The fall time change where everything gets dark at 5 o'clock, that one drives me crazy. The summer one almost feels good because I like having the sun out later in the day. I like it when the sun goes down later. The schedule that we are all more or less required to live by, when things open, when things close, when people go to work and come home, all the different things that we have to do, I prefer when the sun's out later in the day and the sunset is later. I wish that we would just set the clocks to what they are now and just leave it the fuck alone. Don't change it again. But we're gonna we will be doing this for the rest of my life because that's how fucking retarded everybody is, that nobody wants to do it, but we're gonna keep doing it. Because this whole society has gone full retard, and that's part of it. But they say it takes like maybe 6 to 8 weeks to get used to that for your circadian rhythms, for your body to acclimatize to that time change. And for me, I think that's the case because there are certain days I was finally starting to get into a rhythm with the gym. That's the other factor I was about to talk about. Going to the gym or working out really hard. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Is that all of it? Yeah, 4 out of 7 days a week. Working out really hard. Certain mornings I'm really struggling to get out of bed. It's getting easier and easier to deal with the gym fatigue at night when I come back from all of that stuff. And it's getting easier in the mornings too, but it was starting to get easier right around the time of the clock change. But now, spring forward or whatever, now it's an hour later, so my body, if I wake up at 8 in the morning and I feel like I got up too late, well, that's because my body still thinks it's 7 in the morning. So if I was getting used to getting up at 8 a.m. to get cracking, to work from home, so that I start working at 9, well, my body thinks if I get up at 8 now, and my body thinks it's 7 still. Because my body got used to getting up at 8, and then all of a sudden, or my body started getting used to, I can't even do the fucking math, and it's 1 hour. It's just a 1 hour shift, and the whole thing screws me up to where I can't even make sense of it in my head. And it takes weeks for that to settle in and become your body's rhythm, your subconscious body, your circadian rhythms of when you just naturally go to bed and wake up. So lately, ever since we switched the clocks, I'm getting tired at night an hour later, going to bed an hour later, and I'm having a really hard time waking up in the morning, sometimes sleeping in an extra hour, but it really isn't an extra hour because it was the time I was waking up before we switched the clocks. So, I can't even, make sense of what I just said. That's how fucking stupid this is. So that's messing with me. That's messing with me. And I'm not the only one. Nobody likes this shit. Every single one of you watching this video agrees with me 100%. 100%. I have never in my entire life, not one time, have I met somebody who likes fiddling with the clocks twice a year. Never, never. I'm 50 years old. I've met a lot of people in my life. I've had this conversation with a lot of people throughout, especially right around the time of year that we do this dumb shit. And I have yet to meet somebody who likes it. The only thing that people will disagree on is which way we should go if we decide to stop doing it. Some people will be in the camp of leaving the clocks where they are and keeping daylight savings time permanent forever so that the sun sets later. Some people would like to go back to standard time so that when it's noon, the sun is straight up in the air, and when the sun sets, it's the time, it's natural. It's what time, it's when we invented the clock, that was the intention of the clock, how it's supposed to work. At noon, the sun is straight above you. But a lot of those people just have a preference for more light in the morning. I don't care if it's dark all morning. I'm the opposite. But I have reached a point where I don't really give a fuck one way or the other. Just pick one and do it and be done with this shit so I can move on. And I don't have to do this retarded shit show every year of having to make my body get used to getting up at a different time. It's different when you travel. If you're traveling from one time zone to another, the time warp, it's just inherent to traveling. So that just comes with the territory. If I drive from one time zone to the next, I notice it. It messes with me in the same way that this is messing with me. The biggest time warp of travel I ever took in my entire life was in the beginning of July. It was like the last week of June, right after the solstice. I flew from Pittsburgh to Anchorage, Alaska to go hang out with my best friend for a few weeks. And I left Pittsburgh. I left my house in Pittsburgh to go to the airport at 4 a.m. so that I could make my early morning flight and be at the airport and go through get groped by the TSA or whatever and go through the whole rigmarole and get on the plane and all that. 4 a.m. I left my house. When I arrived, it was, there was this, I had to fly to Chicago, then Seattle, then Anchorage, run around airports, all that. But when I landed in Anchorage, Alaska, it was 5:30 in the evening. So on the clock, that is a 13 and a half hour difference from when I left. That would be like leaving someplace at 4:30 in the morning and driving somewhere, in your state where you live, a 12-hour, 13-hour drive, getting to your destination at like 5:30 in the afternoon. There's still going to be some light out, whatever, if you live in the Northeast and it's summer. But there's a 4-hour time difference. So it was actually 9:30 in Pittsburgh. So I had been traveling from 4:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night in Pittsburgh, but it was 5:30 in the afternoon at Anchorage. It was dinner time, and my best friend's like, let's go out to eat, and we're going to go check out this glacier that's a half-hour drive, 45 minutes south of Anchorage. It's called the Portage Glacier. We went down there. We checked that out. Hey, let's go shoot some guns. Went bang, 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 shot some guns for a bit on the way back to Anchorage. And then we were like, hey, let's go play Frisbee golf. Well, we went to play Frisbee golf, and I'm thinking, like, what the fuck time is it? It was 12:30. It was 12:30 a.m., and we're out playing Frisbee golf. And the sun went behind the mountains, so it was still light outside, but it was dark enough it was dusk. It felt like dusk. And we were starting to lose a couple of Frisbees in the woods, and I didn't want to lose any more discs. So we're like, let's just put a cap on it tonight and play another day. And because we couldn't find these discs to save our lives, we were trying to use the flashlights to find them, and they were gone. So we lost 2 really quick, and we're like, okay, we're done. But it was dusk, and it never got darker than dusk the whole time I was there. So now it's 12:30 a.m. Alaska time. and we go back to my friend's house, we're having a snack or something, we're watching TV, whatever. It's like, shit, it was like 4:30 in the morning. The sun's out. It's like midday sun now. 4:30 in the morning. So that's 24 hours on the clock, kind of. But then add another 4 hours for the time zone difference. It's like I left Pittsburgh at 4 in the morning. It's 8:30 in the morning in Pittsburgh, and I'm wide awake. And I finally fell asleep. And the whole time I was in Alaska, I was waking up and going to sleep at the most random times. No, I had no perception of time at all. The whole thing was just wild. I would look at a clock and be like, yeah, I mean, I was looking at the clock just to make sure that I didn't miss my plane in 3 weeks. Other than that, I did not give a fuck what time it was, what day it was. I couldn't keep track of what day it was, what time it was, what's what. And we did all kinds of stuff. We had all kinds of fun up there. Saw all kinds of crazy shit. And then I came back to Pittsburgh, and it was like probably 3 or 4 weeks before my mind could wrap itself around the concept of time again. But ever since, that was a long time ago. My God, that was like 2004. That was like 20 years ago. And a time warp like that, I haven't really been feeling it until lately, the last couple of years. The last couple of years have been a lot like that in terms of just, how is it that a week has gone by since I was sitting on this bench talking to you guys, and it feels like it was 2 days ago. And I'm like, how the fuck did that, like, I did things this week. I had the bakery job on Monday. I went to the gym on Tuesday. Wednesday, I did a live stream with you guys. Thursday, I went to the gym, which was yesterday, and today's Friday. And then, like, last weekend, I had Saturday and Sunday. I basically just sat and worked, did the members-only live stream, etc. But I'm not getting as much work done as I need to. I mean, everything is just like, and everybody's feeling it. Everybody's feeling it. Time is moving by so fast that a week goes by in the time span of what a day used to feel like. And there are a lot of theories about this. I'm going to debunk one of them right now. One of the theories is, as you get older, your perception of time changes, because when you're 10 years old, 1 year is 1/10 of your life. So the perception of a year is a long time, because you've only lived through 10 of them. And so 1 year is 1/10 of your whole life. The perception is it's a long time. When you're 50 years old, a year is 1/50th of your life. You've been through this shit 50 times. So your perception of it, because it's 1/50th of your entire lifespan, that it perceptively should feel shorter, because you've experienced so many of them. And I think that there's a grain of truth to that statement. But right now, with the time warp that I'm talking about, and the fact that, like, we're all feeling like something's just off, little kids are talking about this. I know people that are 18 years old talking about this. I've heard little kids that are 10, 12, 13 years old talking about this, that they feel it has changed in the last few years, and not a small change, but radically changed. And there are other ways that the perception of time can be warped because of what you're going through mentally. I went to federal prison for 2 years, specifically 20 months, exactly 600 days. It was exactly 600 days. I don't know how it worked out to that exact number, but it was 600 days that I was in federal prison. And for a Twitter post. And I mean, I was talking to somebody about it today who was reiterating what a bunch of bullshit you were put through, sending me a bunch of links to people on X, on social media, doing the same thing that they put me in prison for. But if you're a certain political party, you're allowed to do it as much as you want. They just wanted to make an example out of somebody. But anyway, that's not. I don't want to get off topic too much here, and just rant about. Everybody knows that I feel like I was given a shitty deal, and I'm never going to feel any different about that. But when I was in there, time goes by incredibly slow most of the time. Your perception of time when you're in prison can increase and decrease radically depending on what they're doing to you on any given day. You have no freedom at all. You're locked in a cage that might be 6 feet wide and 6 feet by 10 feet wide, and you have to share that with somebody. And if somebody has to take a shit, they have to do it right in front of you. Now, normally you hang up a sheet, you hang up a blanket somehow, so that you can you make it so that nobody has to watch you take a shit. But imagine being in the same room, a 6 foot wide by 10 foot wide room with 2 bunk beds and a shitter, and somebody's got to drop a stinky deuce, and you got to fucking be in the room with that. And then when they feed you your meals, you might have to sit there and eat in that same room. This is just, it is what it is. So you're locked in this little cage, but that cage is inside of a bigger cage called a cell block or a pod. And so on a normal day, they'll open up the door to your cell block so that you can go out and walk around in the bigger cage. It's like monkeys at the zoo getting put in a little box at night, but then at some point during the day, they open up a slot and all the monkeys get to come out of their tiny box and climb around on the trees in the big cage so that the tourists and the people who paid to go see monkeys at the zoo can watch them. That's what it's like. You feel like an animal at the zoo. And so there's like an anxiety relief when they open up the door to your little cage and you get to go to the bigger cage to walk around for a bit. And throughout the day, you'll have to get in and out of your little cage. But there are a lot of days where you go into your little cage and then they never come back to unlock your little cage. And you're stuck in there. And you might be stuck in there for 4 or 5 days straight without being able to come out of the little cage. And they never tell you what's going on. And my anxiety would go through the roof because the not knowing, like, something's going on. A fight breaks out somewhere, someone gets stabbed, who knows what's going on. They're short-staffed for the day, what are the guards? It could be 150 different reasons, but all of a sudden the door stays locked for 5 days, and you're stuck in this little tiny cage. When they bring you your food, they hand it to you through a slot in the door. You spend 5 days locked in a 6 foot wide by 10 foot wide box with no windows. Like every place I went was different. But there's no freedom of, like, you can't do anything. You're stuck. The only thing there is to do is lay in your bed and read a book, and hopefully you have enough books to get through it. Time would go by agonizingly slow. I'd read 4 chapters of a big thick book and look and see that an hour went by and be like, oh my fucking God, I would just have to lay there reading a book until I get tired enough to fall asleep, and then wake up and hope that they open the door to the little cage so I can go walk around the bigger cage today. And there are times, days, sometimes a day in a place like that can feel, I would say perceptually speaking right now, there were times a day in that little cage. Those days that we were locked in the little cage and not able to even go to the big cage, one of those days would feel like 4 weeks right now. 4 weeks go by quicker for me right now than one day of that. That is part of the reason why I'm against the death penalty. I am. Even the child molesting billionaires on Epstein Island who probably, cut the heads off babies to drink the blood and do human sacrifice rituals and all that crap. I would rather see them locked up in a dog cage down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where they locked up all the terrorists under George Bush. The war on terror. That's where they put the terrorists. I'd like to see them locked up in a dog cage in Cuba, out in the bright sun at 120-degree heat all day, eating food out of a dog bowl, because that's worse than death. That's worse than death. There were so many days, I'm stubborn and I'll never kill myself, but there were so many days going through that torture, the first week of which I was literally being tortured by the FBI. I'm not even going to talk about it right now. But there were so many days that I wished I was dead. I would rather be dead than going through what I was going through. But I just kept knowing that it won't be forever. But if I knew that that was the rest of my life, if I knew that what I was going through right now was the rest of my life, I would have found a way to hang it up. I would have found a way to call it quits. I definitely, and they're more concerned about you not killing yourself than you, if you get sick, they're not going to help you. They'll let you die. But they definitely don't want you killing yourself, because that's part of the punishment, is to not die. Living, every day that you live is another day of torture. So when you're served a life sentence, that's worse. That's worse than being served a death sentence, because a death sentence will end. There's a day where you can just walk down that lonely hallway, get strapped to the chair, and it's over. You don't got to worry about it anymore. But if you're just waiting to die, wondering when it's going to happen, is it going to be a heart attack, cancer? We just found out Chuck Norris supposedly died today, and I said, has Chuck Norris recovered from being dead yet? Or do we got to wait 2 more days for him to be better? We'll find out in a couple of days. But if you're not Chuck Norris, you're just waiting to die, and that's it. Day after day after day, doing the same prison bullshit, the same bullshit routine. It's misery. It's nothing but misery. And they do everything in their power to make it as miserable as they can for you. Because it's what it is. It's punishment. And, my daughter and I were talking about this loosely the other day, that she said something to me about there's no concept of rehabilitation in the prison system here in the United States. And it came unprompted. I wasn't talking about that topic at all. We may have loosely touched on it, but I said something about jails and prisons, and she said, yeah, there's no concept of rehabilitation in our prisons and jails. She's a psychologist, so she knows. And I know because I was in it. I saw it. No, there's no rehab. It's all punitive. It's all punishment. They don't give a fuck about rehabilitating you. You're there to serve a sentence. And then, in my case, I was tossed to the curb to be homeless for 4 or 5 months. Even though I had a place to go live, they wouldn't even let me go live there. Because they wanted me to be homeless. They wanted to twist the fucking knife in the wound a little bit more. And watch me squirm and watch me suffer. Because that's what it is. It's not about rehabilitating you. And then they put you under threat of probation. So I'm under the threat of, if I can't get my act together, if I can't find a job, if I can't pay my bills, if I can't keep a roof over my head, they'll put me in prison for it. Again, for that. Because that's a violation of your release terms. They're going to keep me under their thumb as long as they possibly can. And so once again, I'm trying not to go off topic, but the perception of time has been very twisted around in my world because of what I've been through. And so maybe part of the reason why time is going by so fast is because time went by so slow when I was locked up, that time ever since has been going by faster. So we've got the fact I'm old, I'm ancient, I'm 50 years old. Perception of time should be faster because I'm old. We talked about that. I went through the special experience of being locked in a cage for 2 years. So when you're not locked in a cage, the perception of time increases, but probably tenfold because of how miserable and horrible that experience was. And there's probably a grain of truth to both of these. But other people who have not been locked up in a jail cell are telling me the same thing. Other people who are not 50 years old are telling me the same thing. So I think that there's something else going on. What could that be? And let me see, is there some other factor to this before I get into what the main gist of what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to think if there's one more factor, because I'm off the cuff. I don't have notes in front of me. We're talking about the perception of the jail, perception of the age. Oh, there's another factor involved, and it does lead into... There's another thing that can happen to you that changes your perception of time. And there's a duality to this. They're opposites. And then there's let me talk about the first one, and then it leads right into what I want to talk to, the main point of what I'm getting at here. In moments of extreme stress and fear, instant fear, like something's happening right now. A lot of you have been through something in life where time slows down, not like being locked in a jail cell for 600 days, but you see your life flash before your eyes. You're in a situation of extreme danger, and time seems to slow down so much that everything is in slow motion. Your perception of what just happened feels like it was 30 minutes to 5 minutes long, yet it was half a second. Now, I've got two examples of this, both of them bicycle crashes. When I was about 16 years old, I've talked about this. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about today I've talked about before, but I'm putting it together. I'm using this to illustrate a point. And not everybody has heard these stories because there's some new people popping in from time to time. I was riding a bicycle. I was 16 years old. I was into bicycle racing pretty heavily. I was fast. And I was going down a hill. I was going 45 miles an hour down the hill. That's what my speedometer said I was going. And on the opposite side of the road, somebody, what turned out to be a 90-year-old woman, was driving in the opposite direction, headed toward me, but on the opposite side of the road. She immediately swerved across the road, both lanes, and hit me head on. And I had no time to react. This all happened in... You're talking about something that took maybe 2 seconds or less. I don't even remember having enough time to even try to grab my brake levers on my handlebars to slow myself down. I plowed into the front of her car. She was going about 45. So the combined impact, because I'm on a bicycle and I weigh almost nothing, and she's driving a big Cadillac, the combined force, that was like me hitting a brick wall at 90 miles an hour. And I flew over the top of the car, flew over the top of the car, landed about 20 feet away. The only thing that saved my life was I flew so far from the car, over the car, and I came down on my shoulder into the grass on the side of the road, the soft shoulder, and it was muddy and soft from recent rains. And it was the fact, and so when I landed on my shoulder, so I kind of had a couple of scrapes on my arm, no broken bones, just a big stripe of mud going from my shoulder all the way down my leg, past my ass, all the way down my leg. The whole right side of my body was covered in mud. And there's a lot more to that story, but the part that relates to this video is that 2 seconds, that half second, a second and a half, whatever it was, from when I saw this woman starting to swerve across the road to when she hit me, and I flew over the car and landed in the grass and got back up on my feet. It went by so slow. It felt like 2 minutes. Easily, it felt like 2 minutes. And I feel like in that 2 minutes, I had enough time to calculate how to position my body and how to angle the hit so that instead of crashing into the windshield and getting killed, or crashing into the front of the car and getting killed, I somehow was able to fly over the car and then somehow position myself in the air like a cat, so that when I hit the ground, I hit in such a way that it was like the least amount of impact to my body as possible. I'm doing work for a friend of mine right now, and he was in a motorcycle crash at about 100 miles an hour when he was about 18 years old. And he talks about how it felt like 10 minutes from the time that he lost control of the motorcycle and hit whatever he hit and flew like 100 feet in the air and landed out in a field somewhere. And he lived. Once again, now in that case, I was not wearing a helmet. I don't think he was wearing a helmet when it happened to him. He might have been. No, he was wearing a helmet. He was wearing a helmet. I wasn't. That's the last time I ever rode my bicycle without a helmet on. I was in a mountain bike crash once. A couple of years later, I hit my head on a rock. My helmet broke in half, and I had a welt on my head the size of a golf ball. If I wasn't wearing a helmet, I'd be sitting in a wheelchair eating applesauce through a straw while a pretty nurse has to wipe my ass every time I take a shit in my pants. Like that would be my life right now if I wasn't wearing a bike helmet that day. So yeah, getting hit head on by a car, flying 20 feet through the air, 30 feet, whatever the hell it was a wake-up call. Hey, you might want to wear a helmet, dog. And this was the 90s. This was like, they didn't even wear helmets in the Tour de France in the 90s. Like the Tour de France racers did not wear helmets when I got hit by that car. I don't think Lance Armstrong wore a helmet in the first couple of tours that he raced. It wasn't like, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s that they started making you wear a helmet. Somebody got killed, and they said, all right, no more. And you're wearing helmets. We were stubborn. So there was another experience where a friend and I were riding down a bicycle trail in Pittsburgh along the riverbank, and it was night. And it had been raining out, and our lights were very dim. We had a couple of shitty lights on our handlebars, but they didn't really show you what was in front of you. They were good enough, but they weren't really bright. They were more like for other people to see you, but not so much for you to see that far ahead of you. Good enough, but we were going like 30 miles an hour, and he was drafting me 3 inches from my back wheel. And we came up on a triangular gate going across the trail. Normally these gates were open. somebody shut and locked one of these gates, and we didn't know. And when I saw it, there was less than a second before I was going to hit it. We were going 30 miles an hour. There was no way to stop. I was like, oh, shit. Like, I didn't even have enough time to say, oh, shit. Boom! That's how fast it was. But somehow, when I saw the gate in front of me and I knew I'm about to get hurt really bad, somehow it felt like 30 seconds went by. And I'm riding along, and I had the capability to see. It was a triangular gate, so the left side in front of me had space underneath it. The top bar went horizontal, and then there was an angular bar with a hinge on the right and a clasp on the left. And underneath that left side, there was a whole, room to get through. Somehow I knew to lay my bike down on the ground hard, like just throw my handlebars into the ground, so that when I crashed into the gate, my body went through the gate underneath, and I came out the other side. My bicycle crashed into that gate hard. But I had a bunch of stones embedded in my helmet once again. If I wasn't wearing a helmet, I would have had stones embedded in my skull from that, because I hit my head hard. But the helmet made it feel like nothing. And I had a cut on I have a mark on my shin from it. On the front of my leg, my right leg has a little mark. It was a pretty deep cut, but it was small. It was just like a chunk of skin taken out, and it bled pretty good. But it didn't really hurt. I brushed myself off. We got up on our feet. So that was me. That less than 1 second felt like 30, 40 seconds. From the time I saw the gate to when I was on the ground, like looking around going, what the hell just happened? Hearing my bicycle crash into the gate. Now remember, my friend was behind me, 3 inches from my back wheel. He didn't see the gate. He saw me fall down right in front of him, and then, oh shit, once again, he couldn't say oh shit in time. And he said he had the same experience. It felt like 2 minutes went past, and it was less than 1 second. He was able to somehow unclip from his pedals. And I saw this happen because I was looking up at him when it happened. Because the way I went under the gate and landed, I don't even know. I was all tangled up, separated from my bike, but just like, what the hell? But I looked up and I saw him. He somehow unclipped from his pedals. And when his bike crashed into the gate, he was able to jump over the gate like a hurdler in the Olympics with his legs front to back, like he was running the 100-yard hurdles. He jumped over the gate, did like a 180-degree turn in the air, landed on his right leg, hopped like 4 times on one leg backwards, put his other leg down and came to a standing stop. And then he put his arms up in the air. He was like he just finished a fucking gymnastics routine. And he's waiting for the judges to give his score. And now we're laughing. We're both laughing our asses off because I watched this. We're laughing, but then he's like, dude, you all right? You all right? And we're like, oh my, I was more worried about the bicycle than me at this point. And him, and I take my helmet off. I'm like, holy shit, look at that. There's a bunch of stones stuck in my helmet. I was like, that would have been my head. But anyway, we both had this experience where 1 second, less than 1 second of time, perceptually felt like 30 seconds went by. Easily 30 seconds. That's what it felt like. It felt like the most it felt like when you see a video of someone shooting an apple with a bullet, and the bullet takes like 30 seconds to go through the apple, and you see the apple explode really slow. That's how slow time felt. So in moments of extreme stress, time will slow down. Wicked slow. Anybody who's ever had some sort of like car accident, trauma, etc., you have that perception of time that slows down. And it's like, for me, every time that's ever happened to me, it has also given me the mental capacity and wherewithal to get myself out of a jam and not die. I just another one came to mind that was kind of, it's different because I was driving a car. I'd just come back from going skiing all day. And I lived on a really steep hill in Pittsburgh. We have some, I lived on a street in Pittsburgh that was so steep that there were stairs going up the side of the street instead of sidewalk. And there were a couple of different ways you could get to my house, and I was going the back way like a dumbass, and it had been snowing all day. The back way involved going up a really steep hill, cresting it, coming back down a really steep hill, getting to the bottom of that steep hill, making a right, and going down the steep hill I lived on. Well, that crest, when it crests over, that's a really, really, really steep hill. Like, almost like it feels like you're going down a roller coaster. Anybody who lives in Pittsburgh or has ever driven around Pittsburgh, you know what I'm talking about. There are some hills there that you should not drive down when they're covered in snow. You might die. You literally might die. There are some hills that are not even legal to drive down because they're so steep. You can only go uphill legally. They're one way. This was not one of those. At the end of this street, there's a guardrail. Well, I crested the hill, and as I start inching my way down the hill, the car loses control completely. Like, I'm pumping the brakes, and the car is just sliding like I'm skiing down the hill. There's no slowing down. There's no stopping. I am going to crash into this gate, this guardrail at the bottom of the hill, going about 30 miles an hour if I don't figure something out here. And I might not get hurt per se, but it's going to destroy this car, and we need this car. Like, we're broke, and if this car is fucked up, it's going to be a big problem for me. And time slowed right the fuck down, just like I'm talking about, and it felt like slow motion. I somehow got the wherewithal to throw the car into, it was a stick shift, and I somehow got the wherewithal to, oh my goodness, what's going on here? I think my phone may have overheated. I can't see anything on my screen right now. Can I turn up yeah, just a little bit. All right, where are we at? I gotta do a quick little, oh wow, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. So yeah, let me turn, oh wow, I'm gonna turn this back down. Oh Christ, how did I lose all my power? Oh man, I might have to finish this at home. All right, man. Whew. That was an interesting experience. Sitting on the park bench, my screen just went black, but I could tell the phone was still on, and I was able to see that the battery was down to 5%. So I just put everything in my pockets and walked home, and the funniest part about it is the GPS recorded my entire walk. My Strava app, right, the phone went dead right when I got to the front door of my place, because the GPS shows me walking right up to the front door of the house, and then boop, it's off. So that was kind of fun.
that it didn't cut off and I got my miles recorded and whatnot. But this is a symptom of, they say it's Mercury retrograde, and if you're into horoscopes and all that crap, magic rocks and bullshit, then it means something to you. But, and I don't really pay that much attention to that kind of stuff, but I pay attention to everything. So that's kind of stuff is included in everything. And this thing with Mercury retrograde, when I don't even know what it means. It means Mercury's moving backwards through the fucking stars or whatever, like horoscope crap. And but the one thing they say when it's Mercury retrograde, one of the biggest things that happens, they say, is that electronics stop working properly. And if there's anything to be said about this magic rocks and bullshit and horoscopes and all that, whenever they tell me it's Mercury retrograde, I can absolutely assure you that every single electronic device that I own is glitching out and acting up and broken or whatever, nonstop. It's not the only time of year that I'll have a problem with electronics. I mean, my car is a good example. This electronic module in my car was shot out for 3 months before I could get a mechanic to fix it. And that was back in October, November, December. So, but that was like one thing. I almost knew it was Mercury retrograde this month because from the beginning of March all the way through, including yesterday, probably today, every single thing has glitched out at some point this month. My phone, one day I was at the gym and my wireless headphones stopped working. One side of the headphone stopped working. Could not get it to be, I could not fix it the whole night at the gym. Came home, they started working again. I'd even filled out a thing to return them on Amazon to take them back and get a new pair. But then they started working again. I had to unpair them, pair them back again. It's just glitchy and buggy. Thursday at the gym, I go to put my heart rate monitor on my chest. I have a chest strap heart rate monitor. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't connect. The phone was acting as if it no longer exists. In that case, it was replace the battery. And it just magically died that day. The day before, it was fine. The next day, it's not. Yesterday with the phone, one of the things with this particular phone, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus, could they make the fucking product name any more complicated? When you put it on the wireless charger, it's like 50-50 whether it wants to charge or not. So it was on the wireless charger on my desk all day long. But probably when I left the house, it was at 30% or something. And I didn't even pay any attention to it. The only way to guarantee that my phone will have a full charge is to plug a cable into the USB port. Otherwise, it's kind of like may or may not charge. And that's been an issue. I have 2 wireless chargers. This is with both. The phone acts like that with both of them. So, okay, fine. I just left the house yesterday without knowing. And the wireless mic that I just got, that threw a problem this month. none of the problems are insurmountable. None of them resulted in broken equipment or things that ultimately had to be replaced. But like every single day I'm out there, something electronic malfunctions on me. Could be the speedometer on my bicycle. It could be anything. So whatever. I'm not worried about it. It's annoying, but it's just I knew at some point it was happening so much that at the beginning of March I was like, man, it's like Mercury retrograde or some shit. The algorithm must have picked up on that because all these videos pop up in my feed all of a sudden talking about, hey, it's Mercury retrograde. And I'm like, oh, great. I don't pay attention to that shit because I don't want to know. I would rather just live my life and not have that kind of crap to think about. Like, oh no, like back when I would read it, there was a period of time where I was reading this one horoscope because it was creepy how accurate it was. Somebody told me to go read this one years ago. And I was like, whoa, there were so many very, very accurate things that I was just like, that's wild. And so I would read this. And whenever it would say, oh, Mercury retrograde's coming up, I'd be like, motherfuck. And I'd just be like mad about it. Because I know things are going to go haywire. Other things have gone haywire this month. I lost a pair of sunglasses that were really expensive because they fell off my helmet, and on the bicycle trail I had to replace those. Like, just lots of just things have just been all piling up this month. Nothing crazy, nothing life-changing, nothing super, super stressful. Just one annoying thing after the next. So that included yesterday's hike. I'll finish the story that I know exactly where I left off on the talking about time warp yesterday. Today I'm sitting in my chair right here talking to you guys. I was going to go to the gym. But when I come back from those hikes on Fridays, even though I'm leaving my front door, and it's basically a walk, there's no hills to climb. There's a couple of sandy stretches where you're walking through sand, and that'll suck the life right out of you walking on sand. Walking on flat terrain that's covered in sand, to me, is worse than climbing up hills on a firm ground. Sand, oh my god. But it's good for you. It's a good workout. But there isn't enough sand on this trail to really... There's nothing on this trail that is super stressful. I come home from that hike feeling great. Within half an hour, I'm like laying in bed falling asleep. 50-50 chance that when I get home from going on a hike on Friday, I'm going to be asleep and in bed half an hour after I get back. Because my body just I don't understand it right now, but my body just completely shuts down. And I think it has more to do with the cumulative effect of all the exercise throughout the week. Whatever I do on Monday, the gym on Tuesday. The gym on Thursday is really tough because I'll do the rowing machine, spinning class, weightlifting, and then do an hour of yoga. The two classes are an hour. 45 minutes of a rowing machine, hour-long spinning class, half hour or so of doing weightlifting. Pick one or two machines to do a set on. And then an hour of yoga. And yoga was tough on Thursday. And it feels great. And I came home Thursday, and I had good energy for the whole night. Yesterday I woke up with very little energy. Did that hike. Done. Done. And I was invited to come out to yoga today, and it would have been great. But when I just had this feeling, I know how it's going to be when I wake up on Saturday. And this morning I set my alarm and everything to do everything on time, and I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, no. You need those days off. You need a rest day. It's just as important when you're working out to have true rest days. You can't just work out day after day after day after day after day without taking a break. Even on a long distance cycling trip, if you're riding your bike across the United States, for example, that's like a lot of long distance cyclists, that's my goal. I would love to start at the Pacific Ocean somewhere and end a bike ride at the Atlantic Ocean. Wheels in the water, or, standing on the beach, touching the water, standing in the water. Going for a swim with the sharks, and then ending it by going for a swim with some other sharks. And but it's going to take some time. And you're going to need to take days off where you just don't do anything. People hike the Appalachian Trail. You take days off. You lay in a hammock all day long. You don't do anything. You barely move. Maybe 2-3 days off. And then you feel really good. Like your body, you get more from working out on the days that you rest than you get on the days that you work out. And it's a science to it. When Olympic athletes, high level athletes, football players, cyclists in the Tour de France, marathon runners, soccer players, whatever, hockey players, whatever it is, there's a science around how much recovery time you need and how much time you need to get conditioned. When we played soccer in high school, we had these brutal workouts. It would start in August. You'd have to be there at like 7 in the morning. The first thing you might do, run 5 miles with your cleats on pavement. It's going to completely destroy your shoes, but you might have to run on pavement for miles. Oh my God, your feet would hurt so bad. And now you're practicing, playing, running sprints and suicide sprints and all, running so much. And then you'd leave practice at noon. You'd have to be back at 3 in the afternoon and practice again until 7 at night. Forget having a job. You're not going to be able to do it if you have any kind of other commitment. Soccer is your only commitment if you're going to do that at that school that I was at. But then when you go back to school, they taper the practices down to maybe a couple nights a week, couple hours here and there. Practice. You're not running 5 miles. You're doing strategy. You're just playing. You're having a scrimmage game. You're doing some drills. You're doing different things. Day or two before a game, no practice. They want you fresh. They want you, when you go out on the field to play that game, you need to be well rested, not running suicide sprints and running 5 miles on pavement with your cleats on the day before tomorrow's game. You're going to get killed. So it's the days off that make you strong. And you would go through that kind of rigorous punishment, and you would find that when they back off the conditioning, and now you're resting and resting and resting a lot, when you go and you play a game and you like need to put it to the test, you're going to find out that you are really strong and you're really powerful, and you can run fast, and you can run the whole 90 minutes and not care. You'll find that you're not, but in that conditioning phase, oh my God, you feel like you're going to die every day. You wake up in the morning and you can't move to get out of bed. You might have to drop half a bottle of Advil just to get moving today. So I'm like, if I go to the gym this morning and I do anything, I am going to. So my plan is to ride my bicycle on Monday to the bakery, the 50-mile bicycle ride. The way I feel right now, no, hell no. Today and tomorrow, not doing any workouts. So Monday morning at 6 o'clock, when it's time to leave my house, I'm going to be like, booyah, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to feel great. And then it'll be another week of conditioning. So, unfortunately, there's a reason why I would like to go to the gym today. But it's just not going to happen. I got work to do on top of things, and if I went to the gym, I'm going to come back so exhausted I won't get any work done. I need to put in some hours and make that money. So, that's it. I've made my mind up. I already knew yesterday. I was hoping to tough it up, Buttercup, and go to the gym, but no, it's not. It's not, but it'll be okay. But I did find out on the schedule at the gym that today, Saturday, is another day that I could do spinning class and yoga class on the same day. And so maybe this coming week, I could adjust my schedule to take Tuesday and Wednesday off from the gym, and then Thursday go to the gym, Friday hike, and Saturday to the gym, and then take Sunday off. That might work. And then Tuesday, just, relax and recover. Wednesday, recover. So I'm thinking about that as a possibility for this coming week. If I just decide to recover on Tuesday and don't do anything, maybe the whole doing the gym thing on Saturday would be a good idea. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So I'm 20 minutes in, and 20 minutes in, and I stopped talking about, left you hanging in the middle of a story if you're still watching. I'm really bad at making short videos. I am. I don't know. The only way to do it is to have something kind of scripted out, or just like notes to read, and like, this is what I'm talking about. Bam, 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 done. So where I left off yesterday at the park when I got cut off, I was talking about the time warps and how there are different situations where time perception is radically different. And I was in the middle of talking about how in extreme stress, like you're about to crash your bicycle or about to crash your car, time just slows down, dramatically slows down, to where everything is super slow motion, like when they stop a bullet in midair with a camera. You shoot a pumpkin with a 50 caliber sniper rifle, and there's a high speed camera, and you see the round coming through the pumpkin, and then the pumpkin blows up, this big explosion of pumpkin, and you see the hole, you see the bullet come out of the pumpkin, and then you see the pumpkin just explode in slow motion. That's what it feels like. And the story I was telling when my battery cut out on my phone was, I was coming home from a ski trip, and I had to come up over this really steep hill in Pittsburgh and crest the hill. And on the other side of the hill, it's really steep. And my dumbass should have known better. On a snowy day, there are certain hills that you can look down as you get, like, and you'd just be like, no. On a snowy, icy day. In fact, if you were to try it and you got into an accident, you might get arrested. You might get a ticket from the cops, even if it's a street that's not one way. Like it's such common sense that you might actually, if you caused an accident where someone got hurt or killed, you might get charged with like vehicular manslaughter or something like that for driving down a snow-covered hill like that. But this is a short hill, but at the bottom of the hill is a guardrail. The hill, and I would have smashed into it. And so I crested the top of the hill, and I'm coming down, and I start pumping my brakes, and the car is just like, nope, sliding down the hill. I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, there goes our car. I'm probably not going to hit the guardrail enough to hurt me, but the car's done. The car's going to be totaled. And somehow I had a stick shift, and I had the wherewithal to just calmly, I knew the brakes weren't working. I just calmly threw the car into reverse and slammed the gas pedal to the floor. And so I'm sliding down the hill, but the reverse spin of the front tires, it was a front wheel drive car, the reverse spin of the tires slowed the car down. It actually worked. And I was able to, and it actually like dug into the snow enough where I could hear the tires squealing against pavement in certain sections. And it was just enough to help the car kind of ski down the hill. And so there was no way to stop. There could not stop going down this hill. But the reverse action of the front tires, I slowed down the descent to a manageable speed. And when I got down to the bottom of the hill where I had to turn right to go down the next hill to my house, the car just came to a nice natural stop at the bottom of the hill, even though there's another hill to go down. And now I'm like, fuck. Like, now what do I do? But at least the hill that my street was on was plowed and salted more. So I was able to creep my way down and park my car in front of the house without, any more incident, and just kind of like, whew, that was close. But this all happened in a split second. It's not that long of a hill. And it was like everything was sharp and crystal clear, and I felt like I was in full control the whole time when I pumped the brakes and realized this car is not stopping and it's not slowing down. It was just like a casual, like, well, throw it in reverse, and if this was an automatic transmission, it wouldn't have worked. It just happened to be lucky enough to be a stick shift, and I was able to do that, and no damage to the car. It worked out. but it was smooth and slick, and just time slowed down enough that everything felt like it was happening in slow motion. It was just slow and methodical. Even though all of this happened in it was probably 5 seconds at the most from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. I don't know. It's not that big of a hill. But the speed that I was ramping up going down it, I would have gone right through the bottom of the hill. I would have went past the street and slammed into that guardrail hard. It would have been the car would have been destroyed. Instead, I came to a nice controlled stop at the bottom of the hill, gathered my composure a little bit, and then continued down to where my house is. And was like, whew, that was close. And just kind of walked away from it. And that's why your body, your mind, when you're in an extreme situation of danger, your mind will slow down the frame rate of what's going on in your eyes and your mind. Your brain turns into a slow motion camera so that you can process everything that's happening and make decisions. And you're making decisions, you actually feel like you have time to think it through. Even though all of this is happening in less than a second, it feels like 30 seconds to you. It's weird. A lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've experienced it. So those are examples of different ways that time perception goes back and forth. And now you've got, but I don't feel like it explains what's going on in our world right now completely. But I just wanted to throw out examples of these are legitimate ways that your perception of time can be distorted all the time because of things that are explainable, things that are, documented, scientifically explainable. I think that, honestly, but I think that they're also manipulating time and doing something to us collectively to fuck us all when it comes to time. It brings me back to Kamala Harris, that ding dong, and her her stupid quotes. And she had that one quote about the significance of the passage of time is that, it's significant. And we're talking about the passage of time, and there's a significance to the passage of time, and that makes the passage of time significant, or whatever the fuck that retard said. But I'm almost like, when you think about it, it's almost like she's so fucking stupid, but she's in a position of power to know what's going on. She's going to the Eyes Wide Shut parties. She's going to she probably went to Epstein Island. She's probably been to the sacrifice rituals where they cut the baby's head off and pass it around to drink the blood and all that shit. She's probably in all those things. So whatever they're doing to fuck us with time, she probably knows everything that's going on. They're fucking with the clocks. They're messing with time. They're screwing us all over, the peasants, including themselves. And that's why she was so gung-ho. That was her, Freudian slip, or whatever you want to call it, about the significance of the passage of time is that it's significant, and there's a lot of time passing by, and that makes the significance of the passage of time quite significant. And, it was almost like she's telling you that she knows what's going on, but she's too stupid to even explain it. And she's not supposed to talk about it, but she's so stupid that she did anyway. And I think that's just a little anecdote. That's probably my favorite quote from that dingbat. But um, the significance of the passage of time, right? Let's see. So the now I'm going to talk about the video I saw, the YouTube. But now that we're like, what? This video is going to be an hour and a half long. I can't do. I don't know, man. I don't know how to make them short. But so many other people are good at that. I'm not. I don't have any more coffee either. I'm done. So I'm watching this video of a guy explaining this phenomenon and talking about the same stuff I'm talking about right now. Except for the fact that he's talking about how, time flies when you're having fun. And when you're not having fun, time goes by really slow. When you're in prison, time goes by really slow. When you're out at a good concert, having a good time with your friends, all of a sudden, oh my God, it's 8 hours just went by in the blink of an eye. Whatever you're doing, if you're having fun, time flies when you're having fun. I'd say when you're under a great deal of stress, time can go by really slow. Not just in like an emergency situation, but like sitting in a jail cell, being locked in your cage. Time goes by really slow. You can read a whole book in a day. Oh my God, I'm having a panic attack just thinking about it. So, in the same way that time flies when you're having fun, when you're not having fun, time goes by really slow. At the bakery job that I work at, especially when I started working there, I would be like, oh my God, I must be halfway through my shift by now. I'd have an 8-hour shift. And I'd be thinking, oh yeah, I've done so much shit today already. I'm like, it's definitely halfway. I'm definitely to the halfway mark. Oh, I start at 8 in the morning and I go home at 4. And I'm like, oh, it's got to be noon by now. Oh, I've done so much stuff. Time. Oh yeah, I've packed so many boxes full of cookies. I've done this, done that. I'll be like, it's definitely noon by now. And I'll go look at the clock and it's 8:20. Oh my God, 20 minutes. It's only been 20 minutes. Oh my God, what this day. Oh, there's some of those days would go by so slow that like from 8 in the morning to 8:30 would feel like I'd been there for 8 hours. And now I'm like, oh my God, I've got 7.5 hours left. Misery. And then I'd go home and it would be the opposite. It would be like, bloop, close my eyes, I'd blink, and it's time to go back. If I had to do this, if I had to work 8 hours every day at the same time, so you get 16 hours off and then you're back to work for 8 hours, 8 hours would feel like 24. And then I'd blink and I'd be right back doing it again. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I get home from that job, blink my eyes, and I gotta go back. Huh? What? Did I even eat? Did I even sleep? Like, what the hell just happened? So once again, the perception of time goes back and forth. Time flies when you're having fun. Time slows way the fuck down when you're not. But this guy in this YouTube video had an interesting point, and this is backed up by science. They've done studies on this. When you're going through general anxiety, when you're completely stressed out and you're full of anxiety, it can sometimes have the effect of making the perception of time going by really fast. Because, and I can't even explain it. I don't even think he explained it very well. But like in the sense of you sit down to do work and all of a sudden 4 hours went by and you got nothing done. And it felt like the blink of an eye. That happens to me all the time. But when you're constantly stressed out about 100 different things and you're distracted, we live in a world full of distractions. We've got these stupid phones. I mean, there are people that I see who never put these fucking phones down. Like, I can put my phone away, go do some shit, and not look at it for a bit. I'm just as guilty as anybody else. There are times where I can't put the phone down. But I know people and I see people who literally cannot put the phone down. Ever. Ever at all. No matter what they're doing, they've got the phone in their hand, looking at it, scrolling it, texting somebody, doing shit. I've been on. This is a date killer for me. If a girl goes on a date with me and she's on her phone the whole fucking time, that shit's over. First date, done. I won't fucking do it. There was one time, because I won't be with a girl who can't put her fucking phone down for 5 minutes. We all have our, phone addiction issues. But this one girl, oh my God. I was on a date once. This fucking girl would not put her phone down for a minute and just talk and like a normal person. And she'd just be constantly like, oh, just a minute. Just a minute. Hold on. And I'm like, holy fuck. So fuck it. I grab my phone and I start doom scrolling, texting, whatever the fuck, talking to my homie, whatever. And then she says something to me and I didn't respond and I'm still texting and whatnot. And she like tries to get my attention and I'm like, are you talking to me this time? Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. And no, this shit didn't work out. That was a one date and done. One and done. I wasn't even trying to get laid at that point. I'm just like, get me out of here. And, oh boy, just go away. But we have these distractions. Constantly distracted by what's on this fucking device and what's on a computer screen and television where you can just watch. You can choose 10,000 things that you want to watch right now. When I was growing up, you had 3 fucking channels on TV. All of them were crap. So you probably would just say, fuck it, let's go outside. And just do something fun. When the phone rang, you might not be home. Leave a fucking message. Like that kind of stuff. And you weren't attached to some device. We're living in a world that's just full of crazy shit going on. We are watching the downfall of the country that we live in on a rocket ship into the dirt. And we all have our personal stress, but society as a whole, they have been attacking us spiritually nonstop. Spiritually, financially, destroying our relationships with each other, like everything that they can do to completely fucking destroy our society. They've been actively working on it since March 13th, 2020. That's when things started to go downhill for me. And everybody I know can point to that day and say, yeah, that's the last day I ever felt normal. I remember what it was like before 2020. Things in my life were on a good trajectory. Everything in my life was taken off and it was really starting to come together things were really starting to come together for me. And then 2020 came around and everything collapsed. My mental health and everything else with it. And I'm not the only person. In fact, I don't really know anybody who can say that they disagree. That I don't know anybody who would say they feel any different today than I feel about it. Because we have been under attack relentlessly under attack since 2020. And we're constantly fight or flight. And even when things are going good in your life right now, you're just waiting for the fucking shoe to drop. You're waiting for the rug to get pulled out from under you. You're waiting for the trap door in Jabba the Hutt's palace to open up and fall down into the pit where the Rancor is. You're just waiting for the fucking thing to drop. Every minute of the day. You're waiting for the next shit show. Now this fucking dickhead Donald Trump starts another fucking war. And you're waiting to see if you're going to get drafted or your kids are going to get drafted or whatever. Like, they are not going to stop with their fucking bullshit until they completely destroy this country and everything in it. We're watching America burn to the ground. This is it. This is what's happening. The longer they can drag it out, the more torturous it becomes for the people. And people are just losing their fucking minds now. It's really hard to keep your shit together these days, no matter who you are. And so, this guy was talking about in this video that the reason why we all feel like time has just been manipulated and fucked up to the point where a week goes by and it seems to go by faster than a day used to go by. And the kids are saying it, the adults, the old people of all ages are observing this phenomenon. So it's not age related. It's happening to me whether I'm having a good day or a bad day or whatever's happening. It's the time perception. I can't make the clock slow down except for those periods where I made a joke at the bakery. I said, look, if I found out I had 6 months left to live, I would want to work here every day because it would feel like I get 6 more years. I was like, it was a joke, but it's hard to get the clock to slow down. And even on those days where the clock goes by really slow, which I can't say it does anymore. At the bakery, I like everybody I work with. We have a good time. The days go by fast when you're having, when you enjoy the people that you're around, and even if you don't like the work you're doing, if you enjoy everybody you're hanging out with that day, it makes a big difference in how fast time goes by. And so, but even on those slow days where time does slow down for a minute, the perception, it's still, the week goes by in the blink of an eye. I feel like yesterday when I was sitting on that park bench, I was just like, it felt like yesterday I was sitting there doing a video and a week had gone by. And now I'm thinking, I can't even believe it's Saturday today. Like, I can remember all the things I did this week. And I'm also stressed out about the things I couldn't get done. And like, there's 3 things right now that are, my heart's going like this thinking about it, because there's 3 things I have to do. I don't even know how the fuck I'm gonna find time to do them today, because I got other things to do. It's time, but that heartbeat in your chest, that panic attack that we're all feeling because society is crumbling around us, and we know it, and we know that we've been sold down the river. We know that the people at the top are a bunch of satanic, child molesting scumbags. They also happen to be billionaires. They want to create AI and robots to replace all of us so that they can kill us and live their live their life in this like weird ass dystopian utopia for themselves while they destroy the world for the rest of us or just kill us so that they don't have to sit in traffic anymore and so that they can go places like the Grand Canyon and look at the view without having to see a bunch of fucking peasants. They want just enough peasants around to wait on them hand and foot, but they definitely don't want to see us when they're out and about. They want just enough people around. They're going to need a supply of children to rape, and they're going to need some people around for this and that. Somebody to cook the food, somebody to clean their dishes, somebody to make their bed until they get the robots to do it. You know, they're going to just... The George Guidestones are the guide. They're going to kill 90% of the world's population and keep 10% around to wait on them. You know, the 300 to 600 people in charge will have, you know, tens of thousands of people to wait on them. But they're going to get rid of the billions of the rest of us. And that's what they're doing. I mean, you know, believe it or not, I don't give a fuck. It don't matter to me. And it won't matter to you when they come for you. You'll when they come for you and you see it for what it is, you'll be like, oh, I wish I had listened to that guy. But would it have made a difference? Probably not, because there's so many fucking retards walking around among us that there aren't enough people who know what's going on to do anything about it. And I'm done trying to wake you all up. I don't give a fuck about you people. I don't. I don't. The people you ones that are watching the video this far are probably the ones that are awake and know what's going on. And if not, you'll just leave a shitty ass comment in the troll section down below. And that's fine too. I don't really care. But it's not my job to wake you up anymore. I don't give a fuck. Like, my time on this earth is at least half over. I mean, Chuck Norris is gone. Chuck Norris. If Chuck Norris isn't going to make it, how the fuck are any of us? And I think that's enough for this video. It's going to be a long one. I'm going to put it up anyway. But I think the point is, yes, time. There's a significance to the passage of time, and well, it's because it's significant. And the passage of time then is significant in and of itself because it has significance. And the significance is the passage of time, right? And sometimes time goes by slow and sometimes it goes by fast. And there are legitimate reasons for that. But the biggest reason right now why all of us are feeling the time moving so fast that we all feel like it's being manipulated is because it is. And the way that they're doing it and the way that they're manipulating it, aside from whatever mad scientist bullshit is going on in the underground laboratory at CERN or these other particle colliders where they're trying to fuck with time and they're telling us outright that that's what they're doing. Like, well, we might blow up the world, but we might not. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens, right? You know, they're doing their fucking experiments. They may have fucked something up. But it's like that movie, Monsters, Inc., right? Where the community that the monsters live in, the way that they generate electricity is by running around and scaring the children and then collecting all the screams. And the screams and the fear of the children is what powers their society. And if the kids stop being scared, then their society would collapse and they wouldn't have any power and they wouldn't be able to run shit and their whole society would collapse. And so that's a mirror of our real society that these satanic billionaire child molesting scumbags who are in charge of everything right now Their entire world is powered by all of our collective fear, our screams. They're collecting all of our screams and all of our fear into these canisters and then plugging them into a wall at the fucking power factory. And that's how they power their lives. And if all of us stopped being scared one day, it would all fall apart for them. Their whole world would collapse because their whole world depends on the rest of us being scared all the time. That's the whole point of that movie. This is how these billionaire, satanic, child molesting scumbags tell you what the fuck they're doing to you in a way that where they can just say, yeah, we're telling you what we're doing to you, you stupid peasants, and you still don't understand it because they're just telling you straight to your face. But they're not saying it directly to you like I'm telling you right now. They'll make a movie about it. And they'll see how this all works. And then, oh, ha, ha, that's such a cute movie. The kids love it. The big blue monster and the little eyeball guy. Oh, ha, 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 ha. Oh, the minions. Look at the minions. I love the minions. These fucking suburban soccer mom Karens running around. Oh, I love the minions. They're so cute. It's like, yeah, they're so fucking cute. They're using this shit to tell you how they're fucking you over. And how the screams of your children and the fear of your children, or the fear that they're putting into your children, is what powers their world. And without the fear of the children, they would collapse. Because the children's fear is the fuel that they use to power themselves with. So they have ramped up the fear mongering to the point where they're doing stuff to our society to just make everybody freak out all the time. Everybody's like, what the fuck's coming next? I see it all the time. I mean, I am not kidding. I've seen people outside at the fucking park in Texas wearing these fucking COVID masks on their face outside, walking around a fucking trail in the woods. Like, you're a fucking retard. If you're one of those people, you're a fucking retard. I want nothing to do with someone like you. Nothing at all. You're one of the people I don't give a fuck about whether you wake up or not. For sure. In fact, I would rather see you at... Those are the people that are going to the concentration camps first. Because they're not going to make a stand. They're just going to be like, oh, okay, oh, I got a free cheeseburger? All right, cool. They're going to line right up for that shit. But the rest of us, we got to live in this fucking world. And it's falling apart. And it's not getting any better. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse as every fucking day goes on. And the anxiety from all of that. Just this constant grind of what the fuck is going to happen next? What the hell is this fucking buffoon Donald Trump going to do to us next? What campaign promise is he going to break next? What country is he going to take billions of tax dollars and just send it over to next? All of this is just adding up and adding up and adding up. And it's just our collective anxiety has reached a point where a fucking, how much is a fucking a steak? Used to be able to go to a steakhouse and get a steak for $50. Now you have to buy to buy a steak at the grocery store, it's $50 for a steak. And you got to cook the fucking thing yourself. What's going to happen? When is it going to be $50 for a piece of chicken? A rotisserie chicken is like $5 at Walmart. A year from now, is it going to be $50 for a rotisserie chicken and $300 for a steak? Right? That's what we're all wondering right now, because we don't see any end to this fucking bullshit. And it doesn't have to be like this, and we all know it, but we also know that the scumbag, billionaire, child molesting assholes that run shit, what are they saying? They're like, you'll own nothing and be happy, eat bugs, Shit like that. They want you eating bugs. They don't want you to own anything. They want to take your fucking house. They want to take your house away from you and then rent it back to you so that you're paying rent to them every month. They don't want you to own a fucking thing. They don't. You can't even own your car. You buy a car and you got to pay for a subscription for the heated seats. Oh, it started out with a heated seat subscription. Oh, now you need an air conditioner subscription. Now you need an engine subscription, or your car won't run. Engine, the car, everything in the car is perfectly fine, but they got a little button with their remote control that they could just be like, you didn't pay your subscription fee this month for the engine. It won't work. And then they'll try and make it impossible to buy a 20-year-old pickup truck because, they can't control it. They can't control it like that. They can't make you pay a subscription fee for your 2002 Chevy, whatever the fuck, Chevy Silverado, or whatever the fuck you have. Your S10. And so that's where we're at. So this time for real, I'm going to say peace out. And I'm going to get off of here. But, enjoy your 2-hour video. And we'll do the members only live stream this weekend. And like I said, peace out. I've said enough.